ओम ज्ञानं तिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वरूपं तदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुश्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुवैष्णवं श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सायगन्धगुणातीतं सजीवं साधुवैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदां सायगन्धललिता शिवसागरवतं च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादितादेशकारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपेकांत राधाकांत नमस्ते तप्त कंचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पंचकल्पतरुभ्यः कृपा सिंधु एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जगत श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। मेघना माता जी।
Hare Krishna. Chapter number 18, Liberation from Ignorance and Suffering. Bhave swayam kilasya mananam avida kama karma bhi sarvanana samranan hani harinishya iti kenana. And yet others say that you appear to rejuvenate the devotional service of hearing, remembering, and worshipping, and so on, in order that the conditioned soul suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.35. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Lord asserts that He appears in every millennium just to re-establish the way of religion. The way of religion is made by the Supreme Lord. No one can manufacture a new path of religion, as this is the fashion for certain ambitious person. The factual way of religion is to accept the Lord as the supreme authority and thus render service unto Him in spontaneous love. A living being cannot help but render services because he is constitutionally made for that purpose. The only function of the living being is to render service to the Lord. The Lord is great and the living beings are subordinate to Him. Therefore, the duty of the living beings is just to serve Him only. Unfortunately, the illusioned living beings, out of misunderstanding only, become servants of the senses by the material desire. This desire is called avidya or nescience, and out of such desire, the living being make different plans for material enjoyment, centered about a perverted sex life. He therefore becomes entangled in the chain of birth and chain by transmigrating into different bodies on different planets under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Unless there is therefore, one is beyond the boundary of the nescience and cannot get free from the threefold miseries of the material life. This is the law of nature.
माता जी।
Hare Krishna. The Lord, however, out of His causeless mercy, because He is more merciful to the suffering living beings than they can expect, appears before them and renovates the principles of devotional service, comprised of hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping, praying, cooperating, and surrendering unto Him. Adoption of all the above mentioned items or any one of them can help a conditioned soul get out of the tangle of nescience and thus become liberated from all material sufferings created by the living being, illusioned by the external energy. This particular type of mercy is bestowed upon the living being by the Lord in the form of Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
His Grace Dasapta Prabhu.
In this very important verse, the word bhaves means in this material world, the word bhava also means grow, and it refers to that which has taken birth. In the material world, there are six kinds of changes. First, there is birth, then growth, and then that which has been born and has grown stays for some time, produces some byproducts, and then dwindles and finally vanishes. These six changes are called sadvikara and it stays for some time. Sorry, sadvikara. The body, for example, takes birth at a certain date and then it grows and stays for some time. From the body come from the body comes so many byproducts in the form of sons and daughter, and then the body becomes old and weak, and finally, when it is very old, it dies. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Dhananjay Prabhu.
But when the body is finished, I am not finished. When the gross body comes to an end, I am still present within the subtle body of mind, intelligence, and false ego. The subtle body carries me to another gross body. Although everyone has to accept a subtle body, the scientist and medical man cannot see it. I have a mind, you have a mind, but I cannot see your mind, and you cannot see my mind. I have intelligence and you have intelligence, but you cannot see my intelligence, nor can I see yours because they are very subtle. Similarly, the spirit soul is still more subtle. So, what will be the materialistic scientists see of it? They cannot see the mind, intelligence, or false ego. What to speak of the soul? Therefore, they say the body is everything, and everything is uh, everything. There is nothing more. Actually, however, that is not a fact.
The fact is that the spirit soul is very, very small. Balagra sata bhagasya satadha kalpitasya cha. Sotesh Sotesh Avtara Upanishad 5.9. The soul is 1/10,000 the size of the tip of the hair. Suppose we were to take a hair and divide it into 100 parts. Could we do it? No, that is not possible. But if we could do it and then divide it again into another 100 parts, each part will be the size of the spirit soul.
Of course, this is not possible to understand why experimental knowledge, so how can it be learned? One must learn one must learn of this from an authority. Our knowledge is so imperfect that it cannot deal with such subtle affairs. And because rascals cannot deal with such things, they think that matter is the cause of life. Nonetheless, they have not been able to demonstrate that life becomes from matter. Let them take chemicals in their laboratories and produce even a small insect with hands, legs, and eyes. Every night and every night we see many of such small insects with legs and eyes with which they approach the light. From such small insects up to Brahma, there are 84 lakhs different forms of life, amongst which are traveling from body to body, leaving one body and entering another, as stated by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Atata Dehantra prohibit. Therefore, either we must reject Krishna word or reject all the so-called scientific theories that life comes from matter. But we are pledged to Krishna consciousness, and therefore we cannot reject Krishna's word. We accept Krishna's when he says that we have to travel from body to another.
Every living entity within this material world is under the influence of avidya, ignorance. Avidya karma samjnanya tritya sakti ishyate. God, Krishna has many millions of potencies. Parashya Shaktir Vividhev Shruyate. And they have been summarized into three categories: the external potency, the internal potency, and the marginal potency. The marginal potency and the internal potency are of the same spiritual quality, but the third potency, the external potency, is inferior.
विष्णु शक्तिर परा विष्णु शक्तिर परा प्रोक्ता शक्त्याख्य तथा परा अविद्या कर्म समाध्याय विद्या शक्ति इष्यते. Vishnu Puran 6.7.61. In this material world, everyone is in ignorance, avidya. Even Brahma was ignorant until he was given knowledge by Krishna. Therefore, no one should be proud of his knowledge. Everyone in this material world is a rascal. Particular living entity desire, if I can get the opportunity to obtain the post of Brahma, then I create a big universe. Thus he receives the body of Brahma and the small infections. If I can create a small hole within this room, then I can be very peacefully only. This Brahma desire to create a universe, we desire to create a skyscraper, and an ant desire to create a hole in a room. But the quality of the work is the same. We are all fools, however, because we do not know, we do not realize that because these things are material, they will not last. Because of ignorance, we think this will be very nice, this will be very nice. Kama karma bhi. We create some desired karma and then we work accordingly. This results in so many difficulties. Lishanti. To become Brahma is not a very easy thing. Brahma is such a big post and it is given to a very qualified living entity who is highly advanced in austerity and things. But he is also a living entity like us. In America, there are many citizens, and God is also a citizen. But by dint of his ardent labor and diplomacy, he captured the post. Still, he is an ordinary citizen. President Nixon, for example, has now been degraded down and is no longer there. This is because he was an ordinary citizen. Similarly, if we like, we may also become Brahma. Therefore, Bhaktivedanta Thakur says, "Kita janma ho yatha soyadas bahirmukha Brahma janme nahi." Let me become an insect in a place where your devotees stand. Because if I fall down in the dust of the feet of a devotee, my life will be successful. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, "Bahirmukha Brahma janme nahi aas." I would not want to be the Brahma and not to be a devotee of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Because we are in ignorance, Maya, at any time we may forget Krishna. Therefore, we must always engage in Krishna consciousness so that we shall not forget him. This is indicated by Kunti Devi by the words Shravana Smarana. The word Smarana means hearing, Smarana means remembering, Shravana means hearing, Smarana means remembering, and Arhana means worshipping the deity of Krishna. One should always engage oneself in hearing about, remembering, and worshipping Krishna. All the centers of the Krishna consciousness movement are opened only for this purpose to facilitate chanting, dancing, and worshipping so that we shall not forget Krishna. Sad Sadatad Bhava Bhavita. If we always think of Krishna, there is a chance that we shall remember Krishna at the end of life. Ante Narayana Smriti.
Everything takes practice. For example, if one wants to dance on the stage, one has to perform many rehearsals to practice how to dance. Then, if one becomes an expert dancer, when one dances on stage, one will receive acclaim. Ah, a very good dancer. But one cannot say, I shall go immediately to the stage and become a good dancer. That is not possible. One may say, no, 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 I shall not attend the rehearsal. Just give me the stage and I shall perform. But a director will not allow this. For one cannot become a good dancer without practice. The real purpose for the life is to remember Krishna when one's life comes to an end. Ante Narayana Smriti. If at the time of death one can remember Krishna, one's life is successful.
In this material world, one must suffer from material miseries, but rascals do not care to understand this, for they are absorbed in ignorance. A smuggler may go on with his work even though he knows that he will be arrested and punished. A thief may know that he will be arrested and punished for criminal acts, and he may even have to have been punished several times. But still he will commit the same crime again. Punah punas karva karvita karvan karvanamandal charanavandam. Why ignorance? He is so much absorbed in ignorance that he does not think. I'm repeatedly stealing and being repeatedly arrested and sent to jail to be punished. Why I am doing this? The result is not good. A person who is too much sexually inclined may suffer many times from venereal disease and have to undergo treatment, but still he will go to the prostitute again. This is a Vedas Sri Sangha, illegitimate sex. But even legitimate sex involves so many difficulties. After sex, a woman becomes pregnant and has to suffer from 10 months for 10 months. And at the time of delivery, there is also sometimes very great danger, and the father, after the child is born, must take care of the child and work hard to provide for its education. Therefore the Vedic literature says bahu dukha bhajada. after After sex, legitimate and or illegitimate, there are so many troubles. Tripyanti neha karpanaha. But one has to, but one who is an ignorant rascal will not be satisfied. Instead, he will do the same thing again and again. Punha punas karvita karvaranam. This is called bhavaroga, the disease of the material existence.
यन् यन्मैथुनदि ग्रहमेदि सुखं हि तुच्छं बन्धुयानेन करायोर इव दुःखं. Bhagavatam 7.9.45. In the Vedic civilization, therefore, small boys are trained to remain brahmachari, celibate, and not involve themselves in the troubles of sex. But if one is unable to remain brahmachari, he is allowed to marry. After being trained in the beginning as a brahmachari, he will not stay for many years in family life, but will very soon become vanprasth, retired, and then accept sannyas, the renounced order of life.
In this material world, everyone is suffering. The birds, the beasts, the trees, the animals, the plants, and even Brahma and Indra. Indra is also not safe. He is always in anxiety about competitors who may come. The sadhu mane sura varjadehina sada samudvigna dhyayam satya. Oh, Hare Krishna.
Why is everyone in this material world always in anxiety? Avidya kama karma na be, because they are rascals. Therefore, Krishna stresses, you rascal, give up all your nonsense and surrender unto me. This is Krishna's very good mercy. He is Supreme Father, therefore, he directly says, Sarva Guhyatman Tamam. This is most confidential knowledge. Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mameka Sharanam Braja. You rascal, you give up everything and simply surrender unto me.
Therefore, Kunti says, you have come to teach rascal like this and engage them in hearing, remembering, and worship. This is bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. One should hear and chant about Vishnu, Krishna. But as soon as devotees begin to hear and chant about Vishnu, some rascal Swami will say, no, hearing or chanting any name will do. Why Vishnu? Why not Kali? In Bengal, there is a group of people who have invented Kali Kirtana, chanting the name of the demigoddess Kali. What is this nonsense? In the Vedic literature, there is no such thing as Kali Kirtana. Kali means Shravanam Kirtanam. Kirtana means Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, hearing and chanting about Vishnu, Krishna. The Vedic literature recommends Hare Nama, chanting of the holy name of Hari, Krishna, and no one else.
The Sarvanan Kirtanam, hearing Sarvanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting was described very nicely by Sukadeva Goswami in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4.15. He said, Yat Kirtanam Yat Sarvana Samaram Yad Iksanam Yad Vandanam Yad Sarvananam Yad Arhanam Lakosya Sadhyo Vidunati Kalmasa Tasmai Subrade Sarvase Namo Namaha. Before speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadev Goswami offered his obeisance to Krishna to Krishna with this verse. He said, I offer my obeisance unto him, for simply hearing of him is Subhadra auspicious. The entire Bhagavad Gita is glorification of Krishna, and this is glorification by Sukdev Goswami. He says that one can be perfectly purified if one either glorifies Krishna, meditates upon him, or simply sits before the deity of Krishna and sees him, thinking how nicely dressed is Krishna, how nicely dressed is Radharani. If one has no ability to chant, or if one's mind is so disturbed that one cannot fix it upon Krishna, one is given this chance. Here is the deity. Simply see him. If one is engaged in the service of the deity, there is so good chance of always seeing him 24 hours a day, while cleansing the floor of the temple, while dressing the deity, while bathing the deity, or while offering him the food. One will always seize him. This is the process of devotional service, but people are such fond rascals that they do not even go to see the deity. Oh, they think, what is this deity worship? Is this idol worship? They may worship the statue of the deity worship. They may worship the statue of Gandhi or someone else. But when they ask to come and see the worship of the deity, they will say, no, this is idol worship. Hare Krishna.
Madhuji?
प्रभु जी हम स्टॉप कर रहे हैं क्या प्रभु जी? सॉरी मेरा नेट डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया था, मुझे पढ़ना है।
हाँ पढ़ लीजिए, लास्ट पढ़ लेते हैं माधव जी, आप लास्ट पढ़ लीजिए वाला पैराग्राफ।
I have seen that in Calcutta, in Charongi Square, there is a statue of Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee. Throughout the years, the crows pass a stool on his face and the stool becomes caked on. So on one day a year, the ordinary sweepers cleans the statue with their brush in the morning, and in the evening, some big men come and garland him with flowers. Then after that evening, they go away, and again the next morning, the crows come to pass a stool on his face. So this kind of worship is accepted, sweeping the face of Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee with the municipal brush. But if we install the deity of Krishna and worship him nicely, people will say that this is ideal.
Okay. So yeah, you can stop here and start with the learnings and realizations, or any comments, please. Okay. Anyone?
प्रभु जी, आई लाइक द पॉइंट
Yes,
यहाँ
sir.
पे बता रहे थे कि जो डिवोटी होते हैं वो मतलब वो अपने आप को मतलब ज्यादा ब्रह्मा भी नहीं समझते, एंड देन प्रॉपर्टी होता है कि वो अपने आप को डिवोटी भी नहीं समझते, बट हाँ वो अपने आप को मतलब भक्तों के चरणों में मतलब सेवा करने की प्रयास करते हैं, मतलब उनकी सर्विस करने का प्रयास करते हैं, तो दैट इज रियल डिवोशन आई थिंक। मतलब ऐसा प्रभुपाद जी बता रहे थे, तो दैट पॉइंट आई लाइक।
प्रभु जी एक जो अब दशावतार प्रभु ने बोला था वही इसका रिलेटेड पॉइंट ही बोला था कि भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर वो बोल रहे थे कि आई प्रेफर टू बी अ insect in the house of devotee than to become a non-devotee Brahma.
मेरे को एक पॉइंट अच्छा लगा जिसमें प्रभुपाद कह रहे हैं कि हम हमेशा माया में ही रहते हैं, तो हम ना कृष्णा को भूल जाते हैं ड्यू टू मतलब कुछ भी हो सकता है, कभी मतलब कुछ क्राइसिस आ सकते हैं, प्रॉब्लम्स हो सकती हैं, या फिर कभी कभी हम और चीज़ों में इतना एंगेज हो जाते हैं कि हम भगवान को भूल जाते हैं। तो इम्पोर्टेंट ये है कि हम कुछ ना भगवान की सर्विस में एंगेज रहें, या फिर कुछ ना कुछ एक परमानेंट सर्विस लेके रखें, जिससे कि हम क्या है कि रेगुलरली कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस में एंगेज रहें। तो वो चीज़ मेरे को अच्छी लगी और मेरे को बहुत प्रैक्टिकल भी लगती है कि इफ यू विल नॉट टेक सर्विसेज तो सम मतलब ऐसा फिर बहुत मुश्किल है, मतलब कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस में एंगेज रहना, बिकॉज प्रभुपाद 24 घंटे एंगेजमेंट के लिए बोले हैं। तो क्योंकि अगर प्रभुपाद ये भी बताएं कि अगर जिस जिस टाइम पीरियड में आप खाली हो, तो इसका मतलब उस टाइम पीरियड में जिस टाइम पीरियड में कृष्णा नहीं है, उस टाइम पीरियड में माया, डेफिनेटली माया इज देयर ऑलवेज। तो टेकिंग द सर्विस इज very important, everyday service. Yes, that's my side. Meghna Mata ji, would you add something?
हाँ जी प्रभु जी, ये वाला जो पॉइंट था कि हम लोग इतने मटेरियल में रहते हैं कि हम लोग ये ध्यान ही नहीं कर पाते कि हम लोग मंदिर जाना भूल ही जाते हैं। तो हम ये बहुत जरूरी है कि हम लोग किसी ना किसी एक एक्टिविटी में एंगेज रहें, तक चाहे वो छोटी सी एक्टिविटी हो, कि सिर्फ हमें एक क्लास ही स्टार्ट करनी है या फिर कुछ भी है। तो उस वजह से हमारी इस वजह से मेरी हियरिंग हो पाती है, थोड़ी बहुत रीडिंग हो पाती है। तो ये बहुत बड़ा काम नहीं कर रहे हम लोग, बहुत छोटा सा ही अभी काम शुरू हुआ है, और इसी वजह से हम लोग थोड़ा सा एडवांसमेंट हो सकता है हम लोगों का, मटेरियल वर्ल्ड से हम लोग निकल सकते हैं। तो ये चीज बहुत जरूरी है हर किसी के लिए। तो ये मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा।
Thank you. Anyone wants to add something? Okay, so we can stop. Vanchakal patru vyasasya prastham vyavasa patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
जय
Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा।